TV movies are so bright. Join us for a blast tonight. Sister and brother rocking the flow, sharing all the things you need to know. Kathy and Kenny always in the mix. Pop culture, fun fix to fix. Pop culture kids, podcast crew. Tune in and let the topics move. Kathy and Kenny make it fun. Pop culture talk for everyone. It's for everyone. I brought some for everyone. Pop culture kids, podcast crew. Tune in and let the topics move. Kathy and Kenny make it fun. Pop culture talk for everyone.
It's Saturday night
Time for your weekly dose of pop culture.
with Kathy and Kenny. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to Pop Culture Kids. It is your weekly dose of pop culture with brother and sister team Kathy and Kenny Walker, coming to you from the north and the south. Me from North Carolina, Kenny from South Jersey. Kenny, how are you this evening, my brother?
I am just doing dashing.
That was an amazing pre-show we had, wasn't it?
You know what?
I'm sorry, I shouldn't go there. But yeah, I was like, okay, we're running a little late, but that's okay. We're going to hit the ground running and get to everything that needs to be gotten to. But before anything, I want to say happy Groundhog Day. Fortunately, Punxsutawney Phil did see a shadow, so we have 6 more weeks of winter. Yowza, yowza, buckle in. And yeah, I don't know. Did you watch Groundhog Day today?
No, I did not. No,
It's been on.
I forgot that was.
Mhm,
You know,
that was a thing.
I don't know if he saw a shadow until you just said something. I didn't know whether he saw a shadow or not.
Okay. Yes, I believe he saw his shadow. So when he sees his shadow, it's an additional 6 weeks of winter. But again, I mean, spring isn't till March 21st anyway, so it is what it is. Hopefully, I think our weather is going to start to warm up, and by warm up, I'm talking about not having mornings in like the teens, but at least getting highs in the upper 50s and 60s, which I'm all for. I can live with that. And in any case, we are talking tonight about Black country stars. And as this is February, which is what our country usually marks as Black History Month, although I don't know, with everything shifting and changing so much with this new administration, we might only get like what Black History Minute. But in any case,
Yeah, it might be. It might be.
okay, but we're not pushing that political button. But we have a couple topics that we were going to kind of address this month, where we can highlight some of the achievements of African American performers. And given that tonight is kind of like Grammy night, and I used to be so into awards, but now I'm so far away from it.
I
But
think it's so. I think it's so forced, and I've said this before.
mhm.
The award show does not represent moviegoers. I don't think it represents actual moviegoers. Like you always
Well, the
have
Grammys is music. The
Oh, music. Oh, music. Yeah. Okay.
Uh,
Still doesn't represent what America listens to.
well, and
I don't.
again,
I refuse to believe that many people like Taylor Swift.
that's how you're living. I kind of think there was a time I was so into the award shows because usually you would get these like one of a kind performances and in these special moments. But I guess I am so far removed from I guess today's music, and there are a couple songs that might catch me and I'll listen to. But usually when I'm cranking up my Sirius XM, it's on like 80s or even 90s, or I even go back to like Soul Town and I'm playing like 60s hits.
Yeah,
So,
I'm usually listening to my Spotify playlist in the car. I have different playlists of Spotify, and that's what I'm usually listening to. And yeah, there's a lot of Prince involved.
always a lot of Prince. And actually I saw this post about the top 50 songs from 1985, and I was just noticing it was a very pop list, a few rock songs, a few R&B songs, but very pop heavy. But the thing I noticed, like in that mid 80s, we had a lot of mix to all the songs, like white artists, black artists, Hall and Oates, Glenn Fry, Tina Marie. It was just all over the place as far as Aretha Franklin, Freeway of Love. I don't know. It just seemed like there was a time in those mid '80s where, um, you know, that pop music, it didn't have like this definite line of white folks over here, black folks over here. But and again, we'll talk more about music when we get to today's topic. But why don't we start where we usually start with some pop culture news? But before that, just checking out the comments. Let's see.
Lisa,
All right. Oh, it is a special Groundhog's Day. It's like, well, February. I think like half your family's birthday was in February because your mom only had a birthday every 4 years. Um, but it's Sharon and Sheila's birthday are today, February 2nd. Um, Same day, but 10 years apart. So that's kind of cool. So happy birthday to our cousins, Sharon and Sheila. That's pretty awesome. So, but yeah, Groundhog's Day. And I know Aunt Ada's birthday was February 29th. And I always remembered that because she would talk about only having a birthday every 4 years. So,
yes.
which is nice because you never really get old. All right. So let's hit some pop culture news. And
News?
yeah, pop
All
culture
right.
news.
Well, we were talking about music in the beginning, and Will Smith announced his first album in 20 years. It's going to be called "Based on a True Story," and it's going to be released
Based on a
sometime.
true story, I jumped up and smacked somebody.
Wow. You know what? Is that what's going with that? Okay.
Based on a true story.
I smacked the guy in front of millions of people. True story.
True,
True story.
true story. Oh man.
My wife slept with my son's buddy. True story.
Yikes. But let's hope he can get back to you know the
My
the
wife,
the, the good old days of good music making, Wild Wild
my
West,
wife like to be on the internet, made me look like a picture for everybody. True story.
summertime, summertime,
Yeah,
summertime.
you know what? I find that there was a release, an album release with it was a song release with LL Cool J and Eminem. Ice Cube just had a recent release. I find that a lot of these older rappers are coming back and releasing things, and when you listen to them, it's fire.
Oh wow.
It's good. Like it's not like this old guy still rap. It's good stuff.
Okay.
Stuff is hot.
Well, when you consider some of the stuff that is out there, and excuse
When
me
you
again,
consider
I'm
what's out there, like they can't lose.
yeah. Well,
So next we have
mhm.
Tom Welling was arrested on a DUI.
And I know this sounds like a silly question, and I think Was it? Didn't he play Superman in one of the
Yes,
Clark Kent?
they Clark Kent.
Okay.
He didn't play Superman.
Okay.
More so after he played Clark Kent in the TV show Smallville. Because Smallville, not
Smallville.
until the
Okay.
last episode, he wasn't. He didn't put the Superman suit on. And you got to see him in it for like less than a minute.
Okay. I knew he. I knew the name sounded familiar, and I was like, I think I know who this guy. But he was arrested for a DUI.
Yeah. So all I have right now is that he was arrested for DUI. I didn't follow up and get any more information, but of course they showed the obligatory, picture of the celebrity getting that DUI. Like they look the
The
worst.
DUI mugshot. Mm-hmm.
DUI mugshot.
Oh yeah.
Gotta
So
love it.
I oh, what was I gonna say? Well, and again, I don't think he's been in Smallville. Hasn't been on in some years, so maybe he doesn't have the money. But I don't understand celebrities
Oh
with
yeah,
the
yeah.
with the DUIs. It's like hire a flipping driver.
Yeah, no, he has some money because he does some other TV and he's got some other things in the works. He has the money. Yeah.
Okay,
Tom
hire a
Holland.
driver. Don't put us all at risk. Crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, what else we got in the news?
In the news next we have Stranger Things news. Season
What-
5.
Is that the current season? Because I'm so lost with Stranger Things.
We're going up to season 5.
Okay. Have
And
you
it
been
says
following
season
it and
5.
watching? Have you been following and watching?
Yes, I've been
Okay.
following and watching. I can't wait for season 5. And I'm assuming it's going to be 8 episodes. Because I don't know if you noticed, a lot of these shows that are streaming, when we first started streaming these shows, you got like 13 episodes, 15 episodes, things like that.
Mhm.
At least 13. Now the episodes have shortened to you get like 6 or 8 with these shows, which I think we've all been ripped off with that. But, so they said season 5 would be like 8 epic stories. So I guess it's going to be 8 episodes and it's going to be epic. Every one is like a movie. It's 8 epic movies. Each episode is going to be like a movie. Linda Hamilton from Terminator fame will be joining the cast.
Okay.
Matt and Ross Duffer, the creators, are playing 2 more Stranger Things Stranger Things type Netflix shows in 2026. The Burrow and Something Very Bad is going to happen. And
So
something
are these spin-offs kind of things?
No, they're not spin-offs. I think there might be some spin-offs coming down the line, but not these. But the one show, Something Very Bad is going to happen. Will be starring Gina Davis, Alfred Woodard, and Bill Pullman, among others, in the cast. So I think that's the one that takes place in like a retirement home.
Okay.
That's why you have these older stars, Alfred Woodard, Gina Davis, Bill Pullman.
Like
and
a
yeah.
Cocoon Redux.
Yeah.
We're coming back with Cocoon. And here's the thing, like, again, Walking Dead, and they had me for a while. They kind of lost me over the pandemic or during the strike, and I never went back to it, so I never really saw the ending. But then they keep coming out with a Fear of the Walking Dead and all these like spin-offs. And I'm sorry, you're diluting your original brand. I just couldn't follow them. It was a little too much for me. So they kind of lost me. And
Yeah. Oh well,
and
you know.
the same thing, actually, the same thing happened with X-Files. And you know me, I'm a devout X-File and love the show. But I really never got into the Lone Gunman. I didn't really watch that. I didn't watch Millennium. And I know they had times where those storylines they closed them out on an X-Files episode. But they didn't get my buy-in.
I
I'm trying to
remember
think.
Walking Dead started, and I didn't follow because I was trying to be like, okay, everybody else is into this thing, and I'm the only one not into it because I was trying to go against the grain. And then I finally watched it, and I got into it.
Mhm.
But then I noticed a couple of patterns.
Yeah.
One of my patterns is that I noticed in Walking Dead was, as soon as someone was comfortable with their surroundings and like accepted the fact that they're in this place and plan a future,
Oh, you got to go.
They died.
You got,
They died.
well, that was one of the things I kind of liked about it, that there were no like sacred cows. Like, it's like
No. Well, there was.
there,
There was at one point, like Michonne and all that.
Michelle.
But
Well,
here's
Michelle
the
was
thing.
too bad to kill off. She was just, she was too
Yeah, she
badass.
was.
That
She
wasn't going to
was.
happen. Oh,
Yeah.
people would have had to, they would have revolted. But no. But again, now my
But
new show, my new obsession is the Apple show Severance. So I'm like, I go down a rabbit hole with that show every week. I watch it and I'm like, I don't get it. And then I have to watch like 10 YouTube videos explaining it to me that I still don't get and just have more questions. All right, what else do we have in pop culture
one last
news?
thing we have in news. Have you seen the When Harry Met Sally commercial?
I saw you
Yeah.
put this. I saw you put this news clip in, and I better kill the sound. I saw you put the news clip in, and I was like, "Let me go." I saw like a brief bit of this commercial, and what happened to my? Uh oh, I lost my scene real quick. Uh, I saw where this came in, and I'm like, okay, I got to go back and find this, or find the actual. I got the wrong. I don't know what happened to
It did
my.
not have. It did not take place. The scene did not. There it is.
Okay, there it is.
So
All right.
basically, what this is, the original Harry Met Sally, Billy Crystal, Meg Ryan, in a restaurant, and he goes, "I can't believe they let us back in here," and she's like, "Oh, that was years ago," and this, that, and the other, yada yada. And she bites the sandwich, says, "Oh, it's not doing it for me." And then she puts mayonnaise on it, and all of a sudden she goes,
Hellman's mayonnaise, which down
"Yes."
down here they don't know. Down south they're all about the Dukes, so they don't know nothing about no Hellman's. But
Really?
yeah,
So yeah, she gets all in it. She starts going, "Oh, oh." She does
yeah,
this, thing saying,
recreates the scene from When
yeah,
Harry Met Sally.
she doesn't say yes as many times. She says yes like twice or three times, something like that. And she gets into it. And then he's sitting there, "Okay, we're doing this again. All
We're
right."
doing this again. Yeah,
And then
I
that's
have issues that.
Sydney Sweeney, who takes over the role that
It was
um,
wasn't it Rob Reiner's mother or
Rob Reiner's mother had, yes.
Mhm.
Who takes over the Sydney Sweeney in the scene, takes over the role that Rob Reiner's mother had and says, "I'll have what she's having."
I don't know who Sydney Sweeney is, but I guess
She's an
she
actress.
Oh, okay.
She's one of those young, cute it girl actresses that everybody's fawning over.
Oh, okay.
Who,
I don't.
yeah.
Yeah. So when you had that in there, I was like, oh, great. I gotta get that. I gotta find that commercial because I had seen it. I had seen it. I went to watch it, and then I figured, well, let me bring it up, and we could play it in the background. And that's like usually there are a few pre-release kind of Super Bowl commercials, and that's why I'm surprised they didn't hold on to that one because to me that would have made like a fun Super Bowl commercial because I know
Yeah, it
you
was
know
very
next
nostalgic, very Gen X nostalgic.
yeah
It was, it was very
yeah
good. It was very,
next Sunday. And again, we talked about this briefly, and I don't know if you still want to do it. Next Sunday, again, it's Super Bowl Sunday because we broadcast from the North and the South, North Carolina and South Jersey. I figured a few people who do watch us probably won't because everybody will be tuned into the Super Bowl. And if you're not, pro Eagles or pro Kansas City, although if you're pro Kansas City, whatever. But in any case, instead of our regular 8 o'clock time, we're going to come to you early next Sunday. So we probably will be on about 5. Check out our website or even our Facebook page or a myriad of other things. We'll have an early time. If you are subscribed to us on Facebook, also ring the bell notification because that'll let you know um, when we go live, when we're here, when we're doing the things that we do. Speaking of which, you can also check us out on the World Wide Web at kathyandkenny.com. That's just Kathy, Kenny.com. And there you can check out our weekly blog posts as we write a short, like 2-minute read article on something to do with pop culture. This week's article is about YouTube University. And Kenny has written about superheroes, so we write a little something each week. Check that out, and you can subscribe so that you will get our updates and know when we're doing shows and having fun. You can also check us out on Who's Got Next Radio. But again, if you're here, make sure you subscribe, hit that bell for the notifications, and we appreciate you so much. Thank you. All right, this week, Kenny, we are diving into again the world of music. It is Grammy night, but we are focusing on, and it's also February, which again marks Black History Month. And I've seen the posts like January through December is Black History Month, or that we should have a focus and emphasis on it. And I think we were pretty fortunate having gone to school in middle school and high school in Lawnside, New Jersey, which is its own Black History Month fact, that it started out as a town that started out as a part of the Underground Railroad. And Black history was very much a part. And even when we lived in Philadelphia, going to uh, ILC and schools in the Philadelphia area school system, that Black history was very much a part of education. So I cannot believe that moving down here some 23 years ago, I actually talked to teachers who were educated, I guess, down here in the South, did not know that what the Underground Railroad even was. Like they thought it was either a
Really?
physical place or physical railroad, and didn't understand that it was this system of houses and things that connected um, people who abolitionists and things who supported abolishing slavery and supported slaves to get them up north. But in any case, I'm like, and you're an educator? And you teach
That
history. But anyway, that that's just topic for another day. But uh, our town we grew up in was a stop on the Underground Railroad, and some of those slaves, um, Free Haven, they actually stayed there and built homes and built. In fact, the steel house is there, and in the movie Harriet, you also kind of had oh God, I can't remember the person's name, but there was a reference to steals, and that's a part of like Lawnside history, and I just thought that was kind of so cool because I'm like, wait, I know that I went to school with people named Steele, so there's just loads of history in there. But in any case, so since it is Black History Month, we wanted to do something to focus on like Black country stars. And as I was looking at the list, because Kenny comes up with the list, I'm like, wow, I didn't know some of these people, and I didn't know a lot of these facts. So I'm kind of excited for it. So
Now, what I did with this list is I didn't put the obvious people. I didn't put Beyonce down there. I didn't put Darius Rucker on there. I didn't put Lil Nas X,
oh,
Aaron
I
Neville.
okay. You
I,
know what? I saw Darius Rucker's name on here, so I did add him.
yeah. I had put them on there once, but I didn't focus on people like that are
Okay.
known. I kind of focused on people who started the genre and who were there from the beginning. And I got a definition of this because one of the reasons I wanted to do this, and I think this is important, is because when Beyonce came out with her album, there was a lot of people who were country enthusiasts who did not really know the history of country music and were like, oh, why does Beyonce have to do country and this thing? And Beyonce grew up in Texas and she grew up around country music and she had a thing in country music and people were mad about that. But I'm going to disappoint a lot of people here when I say you wouldn't have country music if it wasn't for black folks. So a black R&B star going back to country is more normal than you would imagine. Let me go through the history real quick. African Americans were very pivotal in the origin of country music. Country music is derived from blues, gospel, and folk music, predominantly created by slaves in the 1700s. The banjo is uh, is descendant from the West African lute and was the center of the slave culture. jug bands were popularized in the 1920s by black musicians. And we're going to talk about him, Gus Cannon, who later mentored Johnny Cash. So jug bands, the country music comes from the blues and from like Negro slave hymns and things like that. And the banjo itself was an instrument that's an American instrument, but it originally came from, a lot of slaves were from West Africa. The West African lute is probably the parent of the banjo itself. So there really would not be African, there would not be country music if it wasn't for the African Americans, the early slaves, and things like that in America. So when I went through celebrities, stars, country stars, who, and I didn't put Beyonce, I didn't put Darius Rucker, I did put him up at one point. I didn't put some of the known people, that now that sing country music. I put some of the originators of country music.
Okay.
And
So tonight we're going to get a little bit of a history lesson.
yeah, we're getting a
Because
little
it's
bit of
Black History Month. Hot dang. All right. Tell me something.
Okay,
'Cause
so
I
now
didn't know who this first guy was.
we're going to start with Gus Cannon. Gus Cannon from 1883 to 1979.
Oh, wow.
And, one of the popular parts of country music is jug bands. And Gus
It's a
Cannon
jug
was
band.
Yeah, jug band is like, because a lot of country music back in the early days of country were made out of instruments that slaves could make.
Oh,
So yes, it's actually making lutes and lutes into banjos and things like that, and jugs, blowing into jugs, jug bands.
mm. Oh, like
So
let's go.
yeah. So they were called jug bands, a lot. And the thing with it is that not only did this guy have a popular jug band that kind of brought out the forefront of country music, he also was a mentor to very popular country music and folk and modern musician at the time, Johnny Cash.
Oh, get out.
And you'll find that there's a lot of people I'm going to name here that were originators of country music who mentored or taught other white celebrities who were big in country.
Okay. Cool.
So Gus Cannon was one of the first ones, and that was the early picture. Next we have Rufus T. Top Payne. And I hope this is the accurate picture of him because it was hard to find a picture of Rufus Payne. Rufus Payne was from 1883 to March 17, 1939. Rufus Payne is known for mentoring Hank Williams and show him how, at a young age, how to fuse hillbilly, folk, and blues.
Because when you think about some of the music and formats, and it's like, because a lot of it, things like opera and classical music that came from like Europe and European countries, but things like the blues, like country music and even folk music was kind of a creation of this country, and a lot of that was rooted in, as W.E.B. Du Bois would say, the souls of black folk.
Yes. And this is and a lot of the when you read into the history of these people, and I want you to remember these names like Rufus Payne and Gus Cannon, read the history of the people, you don't get a lot of history from reading into them, but then you do see some of the things that they went through as young black singers in those early days. Because you got to think, a lot of these singers were still in the time of Jim Crow, post-slavery, where they really didn't have rights and they really had to. They could only play certain places and travel to certain places. and this was the time when if they did go out and play. Now none of these guys had a lot of money per se. They didn't have the wealth and the fame that some of the white artists enjoyed. They just had the local wealth and fame, and a lot of them worked other jobs besides being musicians.
Right.
But they're pioneers because they were able to teach other people. Next we have O.B. McClinton. O.B. McClinton was born on April 25th of 1940, passed away September 23rd, 1987. And he was known as a chocolate cowboy.
The chocolate cowboy. Okay.
Which, a lot of his fame was in the 60s and 70s. And I know now we say chocolate cowboy, like this guy was cooning, but you gotta recognize the times.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You gotta recognize the times. And he was one of the first people to use TV to market his success in the 70s. So he was like, you would find him on TV a lot, advertising what he did and his success. And he was like used media back before there was social media, and he used TV to market himself a little more out there. And he was a prominently, known musician.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we have Leslie Riddle from 1905 to July 1979. And he was pretty much known for developing the country singer finger-picking style. So there's a certain style, that, especially when they play the banjo, when they play the banjo, when they play the guitar, like it's a finger-picking style for country. Ding, 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 to give you that twang.
You know
Ding,
what's
ding,
kind of
ding.
funny? I was watching when you scroll through reels and things, and I watched this reel of like Dolly Parton, and she was singing this song to Johnny Carson that she had made up about being on a Johnny Carson show. But and again, because I'm always fascinated by this, I don't know how she plays with those nails, but I think she was doing that like finger picking style though. Like, because watching this hand, you could see her kind of plucking and picking at the strings, and I'm like,
Yeah.
how does she do that? That's just
I don't know how she did it with the nails. I don't know how she did it with the nails.
yeah. I
Because
have no
me
idea.
in the face, my instructor is always saying, cut your nails. Cut your nails
Nails.
deeper. And I'm cutting them as deep as I can, and he goes, no, it's not deep enough. But, he always credits me for making it sound good, even though I have nails. And I'm like cutting down as far as I can cut. I'm like, I can just take the nails. I can just surgically take the nails out.
Just remove them. I don't know.
I can get
Or
them
or get
removed.
like those guitar players who get calluses so hard that they had to glue them back on their fingers. Anyway, but
No,
Leslie Riddle, you also said a note that he influenced the Carter family.
yes. The Carter family and played and traveled with A.P. Carter. Now, here's the thing. Carter family was a white family who was back in the early days of country very popular for playing country music and very popular stars.
Well, that's
A
Johnny
lot of
Cash
times,
married into that family, didn't he? Because he married like June Carter Cash.
I think so, yeah. And a lot of times it was known that A.P. Carter would come up with the lyrics, and Leslie Riddle would help with the music part of it.
Mm, okay.
And a lot of times, a lot of times, especially, and even and this is not uncommon, even into the 40s and 50s, and sometimes even the 60s. A lot of times, the black musicians couldn't, even though they can play certain rooms, they couldn't eat in those rooms or
Oh,
live in those hotels and things like that, or stay in those hotels. They come through the back door to do what they had to do, and not anything to do with country music. But one of the people who was primary in stopping that and squishing that out early, even before civil rights, was Frank Sinatra.
mhm.
Because a lot of people like, Quincy Jones, Count Basie, Sammy Davis would play and were friends with Frank Sinatra. And Frank Sinatra was, if Sammy can't stay, we can't stay. If Count Basie can't stay, I can't stay here. And they were like, wait a minute, Frank. Like, whoa, Frank, hold on, man. Like, we want Frank Sinatra. You know, Frank's like, well, Quincy Jones can't stay here, then I can't stay here. Like, there's a problem. And if he can't stay here, then I can't play here. And Frank Sinatra was known for doing things like that. Like, you know, and technically, I digress, but there's a PSA where a bunch of kids from the 40s, where a bunch of kids are being schooled by Frank Sinatra on how to treat other people of color or that are different than them, and how it's more American to do that. And I wish we had more Frank Sinatras around right now.
Oh gosh, we're
But
gonna need some more Frank Sinatras. I gotta look. I wonder if you can find that on YouTube. I gotta look that up.
yeah, oh yeah, you can find it on YouTube.
Frank Sinatra PSA on
Yes,
as a
on
great
racism.
American on
Yes.
racism.
It was
Oh,
back in the 40s too, and I think they were, you know. Next we have Linda Martell. She's still alive, still with us. She was born on June 4th, 1941. She was the first black woman to perform at the Grand Ole Opry.
oh, awesome.
Linda Martell also recorded some tracks on Beyonce's Cowboy Carter.
Oh, nice. Now that actually is good to hear. Like that, Beyonce actually took the time and did her own research to kind of pay homage to those who came before. And I know she did have some like collaborations and different
Yeah,
things
she had Dolly Parton on there. She
on
had
Cowboy Carter.
who's the head of Montana
Well,
Girl
Dolly
on
Parton's
there.
another one. I don't know. I just, I just like her. I like her spirit. I like some of the things she
Yes,
stands
Dolly,
for.
Dolly Parton is definitely an ally to a lot of people who you wouldn't think she'd be an ally to. When it comes to
Exactly.
she's definitely that woman that I think when Dolly Parton, she's definitely on the Frank Sinatra, Betty White list of people who,
Right.
you know,
Who
who
go,
are looking
above and
straight.
beyond as an ally, whether it's for people of color, people with disabilities, people of poverty, even of different sexual orientations. So
Yeah,
I don't know. That's
yeah.
just that
Now,
spirit I really like about her.
next I have Darius Rucker. I didn't give you an image for Darius Rucker.
Okay. Yeah. So you didn't give me one, and I saw his name up there, so I did grab one because
Okay,
I
great.
love Darius Rucker.
Now,
So
Darius Rucker is also now. Here's one of the things why we should have put Darius Rucker. I should have did more, and I forgot. I was thinking about. I was even thinking about the day when I was driving around. Darius Rucker was one of those people who was in the pop scene,
mhm.
and as Hootie with Hootie and the Blowfish, and excuse me, he's actually cousins to one of my good friends, and my friend Sid, who was on the show one time before, is actually his cousin. Darius Rucker was able to make the transition from popular music with Hootie and the Blowfish and went on to country. It was actually one of the performers, one of the few black performers to be in the Grand Ole Opry.
Okay.
So Darius Rucker was in that category there. So, and he's a very prominent person. Next, we have D. Ford Bailey from 1899 to 1982. Now, he was one of the first people to be inducted in the Grand Ole Opry.
Oh, what do they have a Hall of Fame or something?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes. He's one of the first performers to be inducted into the Grand Ole Opry. He was considered the first African American country music and blues star. He started his career in the 20s and was one of the first performers to be introduced on national radio station WSM Grand Ole Opry and becoming alongside Uncle Dave Macon, one of the program's most famous performers. He was the first African American performer to appear on the show and the first performer to record his music in Nashville. Billy played several instruments in his career, but is best known for playing the harmonica, often being referred to as a harmonica wizard.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And in his respect, I have a whole box of harmonicas with different keys in here that I am trying to learn how to play.
You have a box of harmonicas.
Yes, because I have my harmonicas. I have an E D C F C A B key harmonica, and I have a little cheat sheet here. So if someone tells you what key the song is in,
Uh huh.
it tells you what key of harmonica to use.
Okay. So can you play something for us?
No, I can't play them for you.
Okay, you won't play the bass on here. You won't play the harmonica. Why are you teasing us like that?
I can play the bass on here. I'm not doing. I can't play that country. I'm not playing today on the bass, but I am just learning the harmonica. So
Okay.
so I've had these harmonicas for years, and I did learn. I did learn how to play Amazing Grace at one point, but I forgot how to play it.
Oh.
So
So get your Amazing Grace up to par, and you got to play it on this show. Since we do it on Sunday night, come on now.
I know
I
you're right.
need some harmonica.
You're absolutely right. You're
I
absolutely
know
right.
I is. I know I is. All right. So that's something to tune in for. So if you haven't hit like and subscribe, hit like and ring that notification bell so you can be here when Kenny busts out the harmonica and hopefully soon plays that bass. So we're gonna
And
let him teach
please,
us how.
when you subscribe to us, let us know what you would like to talk about. Let us know if you have any questions for us. Like, I get I get the same question all the time about us. Like, why am I so good looking? And there's really nothing I can say about that. It's just the way. I
We
wake up.
might have to do a show. We might have to do an AMA, ask me anything, and just
Yeah,
queue
we
up
might do an
questions
Ask Me Anything show.
because we're
I don't
so
know.
interesting.
That might be open up a can of worms because you ask me anything, and then somebody that I know gets on here and says, "So Kenny, back in 1999, why did you?" Like,
I tell,
don't bring
well,
that up.
I opened my own can of worms because a friend of mine from back in the
Oh,
'90s
I
from the
saw.
comedy day posted something on her feed, and I happened to see it, and I was like, oh wait, that's my old headshot.
Wasn't that the comedian that was there the night we were at Hepburn's?
Yes, Linda was
Oh
at
my
Hepburn.
God! Yes, that was the funniest night of my life. It was.
Linda,
Oh my
I
God!
think yeah, because
I didn't even know that
I
was yesterday.
remember
Oh my
because
God!
Linda, I don't think she had been to Philly or hadn't been there in a while. And because I think during the day we went to do some like Philly things, like the stuff that growing up in Philly you do all the time, like the Betsy Ross house and the Liberty Bell and that kind of stuff, and you kind of take it for granted. But it was kind of interesting for me. I remember seeing all these things through her eyes as um, as a tourist. But yeah, I believe Linda was there that night we were at Hepburn's.
Quick story. This is a funny story. Kathy's playing doing comedy. She's
Oh
doing it
God,
in the
not
park,
this story again.
and it was the day party she was playing. It was the day party she was playing, and it was, I'm not even gonna say the title of the show because it's kind of offensive. It could be done today. It could be done today, but anyway, the male comedian was homosexual. The female comedian was lesbian. It was Kathy, and they did a show, and they had two levels to the bar. First show they did upstairs. Second show they were doing downstairs. And I was there with my girlfriend because I felt like I had to bring. I was, felt like if I'm going to go to a gay bar, I got to bring my girlfriend with me. Not that anybody was going to be checking me out, but let me tell you something. The LGBTQ community, and I've DJed some weddings for them. The LGBTQ community knows how to party their asses off. So it was a good time all around. The music was great. I'm a dancer. I was dancing all night. Anyway, we're sitting at the bar during the intermission of two shows, and we're sitting at the bar with the other comedians, all Kathy and all the other comedians, all sitting at the bar. And Kathy goes, "I have a joke, but I don't want to offend anybody." and it's a joke about being gay, and I'm not gay. I don't. And the two comedians go, "Well, tell us the joke, and we'll tell you if it's offensive." So she tells the joke. They laugh. I laugh. The bartender laugh. We're all just like, and they're like, "You gotta do this joke. You gotta do this joke." They're like, "You gotta do this joke." And I'm like, "Yeah, that joke's funny." And like, so we all laugh. Kathy gets up and does this joke. The biggest crickets fill the room. No one laughs. It's all crickets. In the backstage, though, because there was a stage downstairs behind the stage, the male comedian who's homosexual is nobody's laughing. You don't hear anything. The joke's totally done. You hear him cracking up in the back. He is dying in the back. I'm in the back of the room in the audience. I hear him. I start cracking up. My girlfriend looks at me like, what the hell what is going on? Because I'm laughing because he's laughing. And it's so funny. And then Kathy goes, this worked better at the bar. And we start laughing even harder. And everybody's looking like, what the hell is so funny? And it was the funniest thing I've ever experienced in my life.
Yeah, it killed at the bar.
It killed at the bar. It killed at the bar.
I can't even remember what the joke was.
It's like so funny.
Uh,
I
good
love
times. Good times.
And I saw that. I said, is that the one who's at that day? And then you confirm it, and it's great.
Yeah.
We were going with our list now, though.
All right. That's good.
Chuck Berry from 1926 to 2017. Pioneered rock and roll. And everyone knows Chuck Berry's name because he pioneered rock and roll. He was one of the original, like Little Richard, Chuck Berry. You wouldn't have rock and roll if it wasn't for these guys and some others. Because like I said, and I'm not trying to be, it is Black History Month, but I'm not trying to be like throw it in anybody's face. But a lot of jazz, rock and roll, R&B, country, there's so much music you would not have if you didn't have African Americans in this country. We created all of it. I get mad when I see rock stars, talk about R&B singers or rappers or things like that because they, when they talk about black rappers or black singers and everything, because these white rockers would not have their art if it wasn't for guys like Chuck Berry. Who black guys? That's where you got it from. That's what Elvis got it from.
If you actually dig into a lot of the rock and roll, especially with the British invasion of the '60s, a lot of those folks, Rolling Stones, Beatles, they're all influenced by that blues artists. And
I'll be honest with you. The British invasion, the British music stars had more respect for the black actors. Or black singers, rather, or black musicians in America than white Americans had, because they knew.
We have our own baggage. I mean, American history is just loaded with baggage, and now we're getting a whole, crap pile of new baggage. But again, not a political show. Let's go on.
And talking about Chuck Berry, he pioneered rock and roll, but started in the hillbilly and blues. And the thing about his rock and roll is that if you listen to the Chuck Berry sound and his rock and roll, a lot of that is infused with hillbilly. If you listen to his guitar playing on certain
Twangy
songs,
kind of guitars.
My Dingling, things like that, and all that kind of stuff. This is infused with the sound because if you look at the movie Cadillac Records, there was a country bar that hired Chuck Berry, and they didn't realize he was black. He showed up, and they're like, "Yeah, we're not playing," He's like, "Yeah, I'm Chuck Berry," and they did. So he went about his way. And Chuck Berry was a guy that faced a lot of opposition playing his music. He was a guy who ate out of his car because he couldn't eat in any restaurants in any places that he played in. So that's Chuck Berry. And I put him in there because his roots started in country. And then he moved it over to rock. Next you have Ray Charles, one of my favorites, Ray Charles, 1930 to 2004. Charles pioneered the soul music genre during the 50s by combining elements of blues, jazz, rhythm and blues, and gospel music into his music during the time with Atlantic Records. He contributed to the integration of country music, rhythm and blues, and pop music during the 60s with his crossover success on ABC Records, notably with his two Modem Sound albums. Modem Sounds albums. Ray Charles also is another musician who's able to cross the line to pop music, but also started off in country. You have to understand a lot of these musicians, like Beyonce, who was born in Texas, a lot of these musicians were born in the South and are no stranger to country music. Back in those days, they had something called race music. They didn't call it black music. They didn't call it R&B. It was called race music, and race music was something that was classified as if you were a black singer, whether you were singing R&B, country, no matter what you were doing, it was called race music.
Mm-hmm.
So,
because we gotta label it.
You gotta label it, and Ray Charles was a person of that, but Ray Charles also did country and started in country. So you have to realize that the line between rhythm and blues itself, and country is very thin, very thin. For the last couple of days listening to this, I've meant to listen to a lot of other black artists that are now singing country music. I found myself stuck on a group called Ghost Hounds. And Ghost Hounds, we're getting to that, Lisa. We're coming to that next.
Oh yeah, that's the last one.
Ghost Hounds, I don't know what the rest of the band looks like, but the lead singer of Ghost Hounds is a black gentleman who has and looks the total part, you know. And this is a great thing, kind of like, you know. But before I get to the last one, I want to mention some people, black people in country music. So you have Aaron Neville, you have Little Nas X, you have Jesse May Hampton, you have Tina Turner also did a country album. Tina Turner did a country album, but because it was Tina Turner, it was put under black music and not country.
Oh, okay.
But the album was called Tina Turner Does Country. But you still couldn't get, because it was Tina Turner, you couldn't get credit for it being country. Darius Rucker, of course, Beyonce, Alice Randall, Etta Barker. Lionel Richie also is known for doing country music because he actually wrote a lot of songs for Kenny Rogers.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And if you listen to some of his other songs,
didn't he write Islands in the Stream?
That did with the Commodores, it does have a country sound to it. Stuck on You.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got
like
just his
Sunday
voice
Morning.
has a country twang to it.
Yes. Easy like Sunday Morning. Stuck on You. Things like that. And then he wrote other songs. Clive Francis, Vicky Van, Don Flemos, Laura Love, Dobie Gray, Herb Jeffries, Jake Blunt, Charlie Patton. A lot of these are country stars who are in the country music industry who were not noticed as much. And there are newer stars also who are around. And there was one I saw on Hollywood Squares, was a black country star on Hollywood Squares I saw when I watched Hollywood Squares. There's Jimmy Allen. There's, and some of these I've heard of, there's Allison Russell. You know, there's so many different stars. Amethyst Khan, and you know, I'm just going through Brittany Spencer. And there's so many different black country stars that are out there, but don't get the recognition because they're black. 2025, and we're still dealing with the same thing. The last person we have is another one who's very big, very good, known throughout, Charlie Pride. Charlie Pride beginning his career in a Negro League baseball player. He was a Negro
Wow.
League baseball player.
Oh, get out of here. I didn't
In
know
the
that.
50s. Yeah. He later pursued a career in country music, becoming the genre's first major black superstar. Pride is one of the three African American members of the Grand Ole Opry. The others are D4 Bailey and Darius Rucker. He was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame in 2000.
That's pretty sweet. Wasn't I'm trying to think. What was his signature song? Do you remember?
I do not remember Charlie Pride's signature song.
I thought it was something about. Was it raindrops keep falling on my head?
No, but not Raindrops on My Head.
Oh, okay.
That I know for a fact. It wasn't that.
All right. I thought.
But Charlie Pride was known for
Although I'm pretty sure I can ask. Hey Siri, what was Charlie Pride's most famous song?
I didn't
Sometimes she gives
realize
me web pages. She doesn't talk back to me. Oh, they're telling me
Yes,
"Kiss an Angel, Good Morning."
yeah, you're all I have to offer you is anything going is anybody going to San Antonio, Kiss an Angel. These are some ones that he's known for. Charlie Pride, of course. I thought Charlie Pride, till I did this, I thought Charlie Pride was still with us. But apparently
Oh,
he's not.
no, he died in 2020.
2020, yes. And that is, and I didn't reach into like a lot of the newer people. I wanted to give you a history lesson on
Because
how
it's Black History Month.
Because hey, Scooby Life, how you doing?
Who sings
Because
"Rainy Night in Georgia"? Or
I
is that
know
considered
that.
country? I don't know. I always consider
Because
that song kind of
it's
country.
on my playlist, and I just don't know. I would think that Patches, the saddest song
Oh
I've ever
my
heard.
God, Patches is the
I would think
saddest
that
song
Patches is
ever.
It was a rain that washed all the
All
crops
crops
away.
away. I became
Washed
a
all.
man that day.
I became a man that day.
Clarence Clemens or Clarence,
Every day I had to till the fields.
you know, that's the only way we get our
Mama
meals, you
said,
see.
give us strength to make it through the day.
That is the single most saddest song
And
ever.
I remember when we were kids and we would drive down North
Patches.
Carolina, and we would drive down North Carolina, and Dad would put that tape in of R&B classics or soul classics, and Patches would come on. Dad would sing along with Patches, and I'm like, this is the saddest damn
This is
song.
the saddest song ever.
Not this again. Not this song. I like look. Put the Brothers Johnson's 8-track in. Put the Rufus Shaka Khan 8-track in. Don't put that 8-track in with that Patches in it.
Somebody who was telling me the history of the Brothers Johnson song. Was it you?
Strawberry 22 was
Yeah.
actually written for a gay relationship.
Okay, yeah. I think is it it's not by chairman of the board. They're saying it's chairman of the board. That's not right. Jack
What?
Clement. Patches. Clarence
No.
Carter. That's who it is. Patches, I'm depending on you, son.
Every day I had to work the fields.
That's the only way we get our meals, you see.
That's the only way we get our bills.
No, meals.
Education we never had.
All right, the single most saddest song. All right, as we wind down, we are at the end of our list, honoring Black country stars and giving you a little bit of Black country music history. Next week, and again, Kenny, we might have to look at February's list because if we were going to try to do it kind of a Black History Month theme, we might have to make a few changes. Next week, we are going to come to you.
We have a Black History show coming at the end of the month.
Okay.
We could do a Black History show every weekend in here, but I didn't know we were doing that. But one of the things. Oh, I'm sorry. Boom. There you go. My bad. Next week we were going to talk about.
Well, hold off on that, Kenny, because let's talk. Since we're doing an earlier show, it is Super Bowl weekend. Maybe we will change the theme around a little bit. So we'll talk about that quickly after the show.
Okay, we'll talk about that at the show. See
So,
what we're
but
gonna do. But we do have black rockers
ah,
coming up in February at some point.
inspired by my favorite Living Color. I always want to call them In Living Color, but
Living Color.
oh,
And
I'm
love
gonna have to
I am a
Spotify that.
glamour boy. For real. I am a glamour boy.
And Glamour Boy is not even my favorite song on there.
No.
Letters to a
No, I like Glamour Boy.
Open
like
Letters to
Glamour
a
Boy.
Landlord is the jam on that album.
I like Glamour Boy because it came out in the early 90s.
And you thought you
I
were
was,
one.
in the early 90s, I was a glamour boy because I had no money. I was always at the club. I was very popular at the club. And people would buy me drinks, and that's how I got through. And I had no money. I was a glamour boy. I was good looking. I was a good dancer. I had no money, but I was always at the party. And I was the most popular one there. I was in the club. I was a glamour boy.
Narcissist much? But okay.
Right? No, but it's honest. It's truthful. Me and my buddy, John Paramelli, an Italian guy from South Philly, we would go out, we would dance, and people would look at us dance, black guy and a white guy dancing, doing the same moves, in the circle and jamming and everything. We were glamour boys.
And I hear what you're saying, but for some reason in my head, all I can see is those guys from Night at the Roxy. Baby, don't hurt me.
No,
Don't
we
hurt
weren't.
me. No more.
No, let me trust and believe. We had game. We weren't those guys. We had game. We actually had game.
All right. Okay. Well, since we're taking this fantastical trip down memory lane, we hope you will take another trip with us next Sunday night here on YouTube, here on Facebook. It's Pop Culture Kids. We appreciate you so much for being with us. And as always,
And
in
next week
parting,
will
we
be
wish
with
you love, peace, and pop culture.
God bless your soul and keep living. Peace.
Kathy and Kenny here to say, pop culture fun in every way. Music, TV, movies.
Thank you for geeking out with Kathy and Kenny on Kathy and Kenny Explain Pop Culture.
Sister and brother rocking the flow, sharing all the things you need to know. Kathy and Kenny always in the mix. Pop culture fun fix to fix. Pop Culture Kids podcast crew, tune in and let the topics move. Kathy and